Breaking, Mwata Kazembe's secret meeting that could reunite PF Immediate's Mundubile-MAKEBI deal. Could Zambia's ruling PF finally be finding unity after months of tension? Mwata Kazembe, the respected traditional leader, has stepped in to mediate between two key PF figures, Mundubile and Makebi. Insiders suggest this deal could reshape party dynamics, influence upcoming elections, and stabilize internal divisions. But what really happened behind closed doors, and who truly benefits from this reconciliation? Stay tuned as we unpack the Mwata Kazembe mediation and what it could mean for Zambia's political future. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. Well, what a weekend it's been. The political temperature across Zambia is rising as we inch closer to what could be one of the most consequential party conventions in recent history. And today, we bring you breaking news that could change everything. Our lead story, a secret meeting, a traditional ruler's intervention, and a deal that could either save Zambia's largest opposition party or expose just how deep its fractures truly run. Imagine this: behind closed doors in Lusaka, just 2 days ago, a former church leader sits across from two sworn political rivals. The air is thick with years of mistrust, competing ambitions, and the ghost of a president who died unburied. One man seeks the presidency. The other man, connected to that unburied president's family, holds the emotional loyalty of thousands. Between them sits not just a mediator, but a message from a king. What happens when a 250-year-old kingdom decides the fate of modern politics? When a traditional chief, presiding over one of Zambia's most historically powerful regions, sends his blessing wrapped in a warning? When he tells two enemies, unite, or watch the government you despise rule for another term? Who sent Pastor Emmanuel Moa into that room? What did Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe really say? And why would Brian Mundubile, a man who has spent months building his own presidential campaign, suddenly agree to sit down with Makebi Zulu, the lawyer who represents the family that claims the government killed Edgar Lungu through medical neglect? Is this about winning 2026, or is this about something older, something deeper? A power bloc that has dominated Zambian politics for 60 years, now watching its grip slip toward what they call the Zambezi region? And the most troubling question of all, if this deal succeeds, if Makebi becomes Mundubile's running mate, if the Northern Eastern Alliance consolidates, what does that mean for a nation that still claims to be one Zambia, one nation? What does it say when leaked audio from party officials openly discusses restoring hegemonic power based on geography and tribe? The convention is scheduled for next weekend. The meeting has already happened. And what was decided behind those doors could determine whether Zambia's opposition returns as a united force or whether it tears itself apart trying to resurrect the ghosts of political dominance past. Factual foundation, background and timeline. The revelation came to light yesterday, November 29, 2025, when political reporter Michael Lum broke the story in the Zambian Observer. But to understand what happened in that Lusaka office, we first need to understand just how broken the Patriotic Front has become. Since losing power to President Hakainde Hichilema's UPND in August 2021, the PF has been a party at war with itself. When Edgar Lungu stepped back from active politics, and especially after the Constitutional Court barred him from running again in December 2024, the party fractured into at least 4 distinct camps: supporters of Given Labinda, the current acting president; backers of Brian Mundubile, the MP from Porokoso; loyalists of Makebi Zulu, the young lawyer who became Edgar Lungu's family spokesperson; and followers of Chishimba Kambwili, the populist firebrand who channels Michael Sata's early PF spirit. The situation reached crisis levels just 1 week ago. On November 23, acting President Given Labinda was physically assaulted in Kabwe during a PF event, an attack that many inside the party believe was orchestrated by rival factions. In response, Labinda fired the national chairperson, the acting secretary general, and 4 provincial chairpersons. The party, already bleeding, began hemorrhaging. Court battles followed. Injunctions were filed. Accusations flew. The convention, originally scheduled for late November, then postponed, then rescheduled, became a moving target, with each faction claiming authority and each camp accusing the others of being government stooges or sellouts. Then came the Edgar Lungu burial crisis, which has now entered its 6th month. Makebi Zulu's role as family spokesperson has kept him in the headlines daily. His handling of that crisis, his defiance of government, his legal battles in South African courts, his emotional appeals to PF supporters has built him a following, particularly among those who view Lungu as a martyr. But it has also made him controversial. Critics say he's using Lungu's body as a campaign platform. Supporters say he's defending dignity against political persecution. Brian Mundubile, by contrast, has taken the traditional route. The Mporakoso MP has spent months visiting PF structures across Zambia, building relationships with provincial leaders, and securing endorsements from fellow MPs. He represents the establishment, the party machinery, the old guard. He has the support of former Secretary General Davies Mwila and claims backing from a majority of PF parliamentarians. The two men could not be more different: Mundubile, the seasoned legislator who emphasizes systems and continuity; Makebi, the young lawyer who speaks to emotions and nostalgia. And then, on Thursday, November 28, 2025, something unexpected happened. Pastor Emmanuel Moa, the immediate past executive secretary of the North Zambia Union Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, walked into Brian Mundubile's office in Lusaka. With him was Davies Mwila, the former PF Secretary General. The meeting had been arranged quietly. No press. No announcements. Just three men in a room. Pastor Moa delivered a message. Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe of the Lunda people in Luapula province was opposed to President Hichilema's UPND continuing in power beyond 2026. The Mwata believed that a united PF had a real chance of returning to government. But only if the factions stopped fighting. Only if Mundubile and Makebi could work together. Pastor Moa revealed that he had already held talks with Makebi Zulu. Now, he was asking Mundubile to do what must have seemed unthinkable weeks ago: sit down with his rival. Not as enemies. As potential partners. The proposal was simple but explosive. Mundubile would run for president. Makebi would take the running mate position. The Northern Eastern Alliance, the political powerhouse that has shaped Zambian politics since independence, would be restored. And here's the stunning part: Mundubile agreed. According to Pastor Moa's account, the first formal meeting between Mundubile and Makebi is scheduled for this weekend, just days before the planned PF convention. If the deal holds, if both men can set aside their ambitions and grievances, the entire landscape of Zambian opposition politics could shift overnight. But there's a darker undertone to this story. A context that cannot be ignored. In October, a leaked audio recording surfaced featuring Mumbai Firai, the former PF Deputy Secretary General and one of Edgar Lungu's most loyal allies. In the recording, Firai is heard arguing that the PF can only win in 2026 if the top two positions are held by individuals from the northern and eastern provinces, specifically, a Bemba and an Easterner, or vice versa. In her own words, Firai stressed the need to restore northern and eastern hegemonic power and reclaim authority from what she called the Zambezi region, a reference to President Hichilema's base in southern, western, and northwestern provinces. The Mundubile-Makebi deal fits that formula perfectly. Mundubile is from Luapula province, Bemba-speaking, part of the northern bloc. Makebi, though a lawyer in Lusaka, has become the face of the Lungu family, which draws its deepest support from eastern province. This is not just about two men making peace. This is about a regional power structure that views itself as the rightful center of Zambian politics and that sees the current government as an illegitimate intrusion from the periphery. Direct evidence. Let's hear from the key players in this unfolding drama in their own words. Pastor Emmanuel Moa, as reported. According to political reporter Michael Lom's account of the meeting, Pastor Moa laid out his mission in clear terms. My mission to reconcile factions within the party is being undertaken with the blessing of Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe, who is opposed to the continued rule of the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema beyond 2026. He continued, explaining the stakes. The Mwata believes that a united PF stands a better chance of returning to power and has therefore encouraged dialogue among the party's competing camps. And then came the proposal. I persuaded Mundubile to agree to direct talks with Makebi, to be facilitated through the Mwata, with the hope of eventually securing an agreement for Makebi to take the running mate position. Their first meeting is scheduled for this weekend. Mumbai Firai, from leaked October 2025 audio. To understand what this deal really represents, we must listen to what Mumbai Firai, a close Lungu ally and former Deputy Secretary General, said in an audio that went viral in October. Council Chisanga, this post you've posted is saying the truth, and this is what some people are failing to see. She went on to make her position clear. If we adopt a Bemba presidential candidate and a running mate from Eastern Province, or vice versa, we are going to win. We need to restore northern and eastern hegemonic power to reclaim authority from the Zambezi region. The audio caused a national uproar. Critics accused Firai of naked tribalism. Supporters, like PEP President Sean Tembo, defended her, arguing, Honorable Mumbai Firai's statement that if a Bemba picks an Easterner running mate, then we will win, is a political strategy statement and not a tribal statement. Anywhere in the world, political parties have regional strongholds. Nothing wrong or tribal about that. UPND response. The ruling party was quick to condemn the Mumbai Firai audio. Deputy National Spokesperson Elvis Nkandu stated, Zambia was founded on an unshakable ideal. One Zambia, one nation. This was not merely a slogan but a solemn pledge, a pledge that every citizen, regardless of tribe or region, would belong equally to one nation under one flag. These remarks are regrettable, divisive, and contrary to Zambia's founding values. Political analysts. Writing in the Zambian Observer, reporter Michael Lum provided this context. If successful, this deal would reinforce the long-standing political makeup of the Northern Eastern Alliance, a pattern that has dominated Zambian politics for over 6 decades. This regional power bloc continues to view itself as a counterweight to emerging political centers. He concluded with a cautionary note. Whether this renewed push for unity will hold, and whether it resonates with the broader electorate, remains to be seen. But the dynamics unfolding inside the PF reveal a party grappling with both internal rivalry and the weight of regional expectations that have long defined Zambia's political foundations. The context of Makebi Zulu. It's worth noting that Makebi's prominence has surged in the months since Edgar Lungu's death. As family spokesperson in the burial crisis, he has repeatedly appeared before the press, defending the family's position with statements like this one from June. When trust is broken, deliberate and genuine steps must be taken to rebuild it. And in October, accusing the government of bad faith. Despite an agreement for mediation announced on September 5, 2025, the government secretly engaged in clandestine operations while pretending to act in good faith. Among the most alarming incidents was the hiring of a private investigator and plainclothes police officers who allegedly tried to access the South African morgue where the late president's body is kept. These statements have endeared him to Lungu loyalists who see the burial dispute as proof of government persecution. But they've also painted him as a controversial, combative figure, someone whose political rise is inseparable from the unburied president whose legacy he claims to defend. Brian Mundubile's camp. Mundubile himself has remained largely silent on the Mwata Kazembe mediation, but his supporters have long argued that he represents stability and structure. According to a November analysis in the Zambian Observer, Mundubile has consolidated support from MPs, provincial leaders, and Luapula Muchinga structures. His campaign depends on delegate arithmetic, not crowds. The question now is whether Mundubile, who has spent months building his own independent campaign, is willing to subordinate his presidential ambitions to a unity ticket where he takes the top spot but shares power with a man whose base views him with suspicion. Davies Mwila. The presence of Davies Mwila at the November 28 meeting is significant. Mwila, the former PF Secretary General, is a party elder with decades of experience. His involvement suggests this is not just Pastor Moa's personal initiative but part of a broader effort by old-guard PF figures to prevent the party from completely imploding before the 2026 elections. The unspoken message, if you young men cannot stop fighting, we will bring in the king to make you stop. Deeper analysis. This is no longer just about two ambitious politicians. This is about what kind of party the PF wants to be and what kind of country Zambia wants to become. The traditional authority factor. Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe is not just any traditional leader. The Kazembe Kingdom has existed for over 250 years, dominating the Luapula Valley region and historically controlling critical trade routes across Central Africa. The title Mwata Kazembe carries weight not just ceremonially, but politically. In Zambian history, traditional leaders have periodically intervened in national politics. During Kenneth Kanda's UNIP era in the 1980s, Mwata Kazembe was even appointed as district governor. More recently, in February 2024, he hosted a controversial meeting at his palace with opposition MPs, despite government pressure to cancel it. Political analyst Dr. Chris Sumani praised him as one of the few African traditional leaders who maintains independence from partisan politics and dollar commercialism. But this intervention is different. This is not a neutral call for peace. This is a traditional leader taking sides, specifically, taking the side against the UPND and explicitly working to unite the opposition to remove President Hichilema from power. The message is clear: the Mwata views the current government as a regional threat. And he's willing to use his influence to restore what Mumbai Firai called Northern and Eastern hegemonic power. The regional power bloc. Since Zambia's independence in 1964, political power has been heavily concentrated in what is often called the Northern Eastern Alliance, the Bemba-speaking provinces of Luapula, Mochinga, Northern, and Copperbelt, combined with Eastern Province. This alliance has provided almost every Zambian president: Kanda, though from Chinzali, in the north, Chiluba, from Luapula, Levi Mwanawasa, from eastern, Rupia Banda, from eastern, Michael Sata, from northern, and Edgar Lungu, also from eastern. President Hakainde Hichilema is the first leader from the so-called Zambezi provinces, southern, western, and northwestern, to hold power for a full term since independence. For many in the northern eastern bloc, this represents not just a political loss but an existential threat to a power structure that has endured for 60 years. The Mundubile-Makebi deal is an attempt to restore that structure. If successful, it sends a message: Zambia's presidency belongs to the Northern Eastern Alliance. Any government from the Zambezi region is temporary, illegitimate, and must be removed. The tribalism question. This is where things get uncomfortable. Supporters of the Mundubile-Makebi deal, like Sean Tembo, argue this is simply smart politics. Every country has regional voting patterns. American presidential candidates pick running mates from swing states. Why should Zambia be any different? Critics counter that Zambia is not America. Zambia is a country where tribalism has historically been weaponized, where regional exclusion has led to development imbalances, and where the national motto, One Zambia, One Nation, was created specifically to prevent the kind of ethnic balkanization that tore apart neighboring countries. When Mumbai Firai openly discusses restoring hegemonic power from the Zambezi region, she is not describing swing state strategy. She is describing dominance. And when Pastor Moa delivers a message from a traditional ruler whose authority is tied to ethnic identity, it raises questions about whether this is a political coalition or an ethnic one. The UPND has seized on this. Deputy spokesperson Elvis Nkandu's statement was clear: this kind of politics threatens the founding values of the Republic. And the ruling party has evidence to back up its concerns. Under Edgar Lungu's government, representation from southern, western, and northwestern provinces was minimal. Out of 30 cabinet members, only 2 came from northwestern province, and 0 from southern and western. Out of 34 permanent secretaries, only 1 came from northwestern and 1 from southern province. If the PF returns to power on the back of a northern-eastern unity ticket, what guarantees exist that this pattern won't repeat? The Makebi Zulu problem. Even if Mundubile and Makebi agree to partner, there's a deeper issue: Makebi's political identity is inseparable from Edgar Lungu's unburied body. His national prominence comes entirely from the burial crisis, a crisis that has been going on for 6 months with no resolution in sight. If the burial is finally resolved before the 2026 elections, does Makebi's star fade? If it isn't resolved, does he become a permanent symbol of grievance politics, a candidate whose entire platform is "the government murdered our president"? There's also the question of legitimacy within the party. Makebi has never held elected office. He has never run a government ministry. He's a lawyer who became famous representing a family in mourning. Mundubile supporters will ask, why should we accept a running mate whose only qualification is that he speaks for Edgar Lungu's widow? The convention wildcard. All of this assumes the convention actually happens and that it's legitimate. The PF is currently operating under multiple court orders, with rival factions claiming authority. Given Lubinda, as acting president, insists he has the power to convene the convention. His rivals say his leadership is illegal and that any convention he calls will be invalid. If Mundubile and Makebi walk into a chaotic, contested convention, their unity deal may be irrelevant. The party could split into 2 or 3 rival PFs, each claiming to be the true inheritor of Michael Satta's legacy. The 2026 implications. Let's assume the deal works. Assume Mundubile wins the presidency at the convention. Assume Makebi accepts the running mate position. Assume the party unites behind them. What then? The PF would enter the 2026 elections as a northern-eastern ticket, explicitly campaigning to restore power from the Zambezi region. That campaign would energize their base, the constituencies that feel excluded under Hichilema's government. But it would also hand the UPND a gift, proof that the opposition is exactly what they've always claimed it was, a tribal alliance disguised as a political party. And there's a deeper risk. If the PF runs on regional restoration and loses, it could fracture permanently. If it runs on regional restoration and wins, it could govern a deeply divided country where entire provinces feel they've been told their president is not legitimate simply because of where he's from. What does Mwata Kazembe gain? Finally, we must ask, why is Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe involving himself in this? Traditional leaders are supposed to be above politics. The Zambian constitution recognizes their ceremonial and cultural role but explicitly bars them from partisan activity. Yet here is a traditional ruler sending emissaries to negotiate a political deal. The most likely answer is that Mwata Kazembe, like many traditional leaders in Luapula and northern provinces, benefited greatly under PF rule. His region saw roads built, fish markets expanded, and patronage networks established. Under the UPND, those networks have been disrupted. Development projects have stalled. The sense of being close to power has evaporated. If the PF returns, Mwata Kazembe's influence returns with it. It's not just about ideology. It's about access, resources, and regional pride.